to start with the question, why does racism make you feel so paranoid? Okay, so I'm going to talk about this with the experience that I've had with people during my lectures, so with my students. I've had a lot of one-on-one sessions with people who have been discriminated from different social groups, but also my personal experiences as a multiracial Dutch guy. Like I said before, I am half Dutch, half Algerian, so I have known and I've always felt what it is to grow up somewhere where you're not according to the racial norm. So to start with the question, why does racism make you feel so paranoid, and why does it make you feel so bad? I think one of the most important aspects about racism that doesn't get a lot of attention is the fact that living in a racist world, living in a culture that has racial hierarchies, makes us engage in what we call self-stereotyping. Okay? So the way you see yourself is actually the way you are portrayed by your culture or by multiple cultures. So if you live in a society or in a world where you have a continuous bombardment of negative images of people who look like you, people who have the same religion, people who have the same skin color, and so forth, you're actually internalizing these images, and that's the way you start to see yourself. Okay? So you stand in front of the mirror, you see a specific kind of features, okay, biological features when you're looking at yourself, and these features trigger some kind of association, okay, mental associations. Can be positive associations, can be negative associations. Where do they come from? Usually from your culture, popular culture, media, but also education, and so forth. Okay? So these mental associations get triggered when you see the biological features of specific kinds of people, including yourself. So what happens is you start to self-stereotype, because every time you look at yourself, these associations get triggered, these mental associations, and you start to see yourself in a way that is portrayed by your culture. This is mentally extremely draining, extremely detrimental, which gets hardly any attention. So what does racism actually do to the victims? Okay, what does it do to their mental health? I think it has been underestimated what an effect it has on people's mental health. And one of the problems of racism is that self-stereotyping becomes what you would call a self-fulfilling prophecy. Okay? You start to self-stereotype, and because you self-stereotype, you assume that other people also see you like that, which makes people very paranoid. Okay? So this is a very frustrating thing you see with a lot of victims of racism, is that they actually become very paranoid, because they have the idea that the way people are looking at them is actually the way they see themselves through their own cultural lens. Okay, so after a while, especially people who feel severely discriminated, they will perceive every negative slight from somebody else, every negative behavior, in light of their biological features. Okay, because you have been bombarded with so many negative images and negative news and negative information about people who look like you, people who come from the same social group as you do, that after a while you start to become very paranoid, and every social interaction, people don't want to look at you, people look away, people look at you in a certain way, people avoid you on the streets. So you start to behave, you become very paranoid, and you start to see the world as very hostile. And once you start to see the world as very hostile, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Because you perceive the world as hostile, you start to behave in a negative way. Why would you smile at people if they never smile back at you? Why would you be kind? Why would you try and start a conversation if you feel that people are always negative to you? So you start to radiate this kind of attitude, and due to you radiating this attitude, people will start to avoid you more, which acknowledges your idea that people are racist towards you. So it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, And it actually brings you in a spiral of negativity, and you start to feel worse and worse about yourself. And in that sense, racism has a very, very powerful effect on people's mental health. Extremely powerful effect, because you start to see every single behavior, even the ambiguous behaviors of people. Okay, for example, you see somebody walking, you accidentally look at that person, or you look in his or her way, and that person maybe completely coincidentally turns his or her head the other way. Okay, so you make eye contact, and immediately the person looks the other way. Can be completely natural, but due to you having preconceptions, you start to see it in a way like, oh, you see, that person is avoiding eye contact with me because I'm black, or I'm brown, or I look like a Muslim, or whatever, or I'm Chinese, doesn't matter. Okay, so it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, which is extremely, extremely powerful, and it brings people in a deeper, how can I say that? It brings people increasingly in a lower state of mind, okay, in a very negative state of mind.